Okay guys, we're going to take a look at this little tutorial about logos. So logos are things that you see all the time. They're little pictures or representations that stand for a company. A lot of graphic designers get their start making logos, and they're really important because it's something that we use to help identify a company easily and what the company stands for. So I'm going to take you through a couple different types of logos that there are. And as we're going through this, think about the kind of logo that you want to create for this assignment. So the first one is called a pictorial logo. So it's basically a picture. So these logos are used because they are something that's easy for the company to create a meaning for what their company stands for, and the customers can easily identify that image and associate it with that specific business. Sometimes the companies will create a logo just to make sure that it has a cultural meaning so that customers can think about that aspect of the company just through the logo. So you could have a tree that they could use for standing for growth. A fox could be used to imply that they're witty. Sometimes logos become icons on their own, like the apple that we have on our MacBooks, so that we know that that apple stands for the Apple company. Or if you see the Twitter bird, you know that that easily is associated with Twitter. The fun thing about pictorial logos is they could be cute and playful, they could be modern and sleek, classical or elegant. A lot of companies use these pictorial logos to create a visual pun, or the design has a lot of layered meanings to them. So I'm not going to click on this link right here, but in your Canvas assignment, this link I want you guys to go to, it shows you famous logos that have hidden meanings in it. And part of this assignment is to go to this website and take a look at those logos and then tell me which one you like the best and why. They're really pretty neat. Trying to get to my examples. There we go. All right, so here are some examples of pictorial logos. This one I really like because you see in the negative space, this is a fish outline, but it looks like the front face of the bull, and this company is called Bullfish. There's Treehouse Apartments. Hummingbird, you get a hummingbird and a tree in there. Perfect Peace, this is really nice. This uses our principles of harmony and unity, because you have the dog and the cat, which normally pets or dogs and cats fight, but this is showing them in perfect peace, or you have the yin and yang symbol right there. Pinster Docs, looks like a paper clip for the dog's ear. Puffin, software development. This one is quite a lot of work that they did on this one. You can see all this other ones, more simple designs to them. But on this one here, they did a lot of 3D work with it, a lot of shading, big life, lots of space and size elements and principles in here. This one obviously has a lot more intense graphic design work than the others. But this is the main logo right in here. But then they have this image in the background. So this Sea Colony visual effects. This one is a fox, Orion, search. Probably has something to do with Firefox. This one is one of my favorites. This is Fox Coffee. And I like this because it looks like that's a fox's tail, but it also could be a coffee bean. And I also love the font that they use. Notice how the size of the font, they're all the same, so they kind of stretch the F and the E's out. So you got to think not only the image that you want to use, but the font that you want to use also for your logo. This one's pretty neat. Paracosm Pictures, kind of a spooky image theme to it with this cat with the film strip. Seventh Fly Fishing. Again, they did something really cool with the font. If you notice here on the S, they've got a little fish hook at the bottom of the S. And this has got, looks like a guy in a spacesuit or maybe a deep sea diving suit. You got a fishing pole and then the fish. Nest Interiors, kind of neat. Good Golem Films, also really neat, simple one. So you might have noticed that on all of these logos, there are very simple designs on most of them. Obviously not that one. Lots of simple designs, and notice how few colors they use. That's a theme. This one I didn't talk about, but that's a moose, and it looks how it was made out of metal, so they're using texture with that one. So a lot of these, you'll notice the same theme of using very few colors and simple designs. All right, next group, abstract logos. So abstract logos are kind of like pictorial logos, but instead of using something that's easily identifiable or representation of a simple image, they try to make them more subtle and hidden. They'll use different geometric shapes to help create, to combine to create these images. Sometimes the images will hint at something that they're representing. So this aloe logo here alludes to a bird, but it's really just because they put together all these different shapes and different colors. Combining them together also has kind of a teardrop shape there. Another abstract logo that you might think about is the Nike swoosh or the Pepsi circle. So here are some other examples of abstract logos. So you got this graph grid, looks like a maze. Norensic, looks like a brain. Lake Point Custom Homes, notice they all come down to, or come to a point. White space, I mean, talk about a very simple design. It's just a white empty space, got this black square, and that's all it is. Somebody got paid a lot of money to make that, believe it or not. Infinite Descent, this one's cool because it looks like the infinity symbol or figure 8, and it looks like a squid or octopus, tentacles pulling you down. Monogram, luxury goods, so kind of looks like an M almost, but kind of I see a little guy. There's his arms, head, and legs. Sungate, so you got this repetition. Again, got to think about all the principles and elements of design and how they come into play. So we've got this repetition of this little design, and then you put it together to make it look kind of like a sun or like the scrolly parts of a gate. Stratus Tactical Performance, this one's really cool. They use negative space to get this S. So here's your T, S, and P for Stratus Tactical Performance. So that one's really cool. And then look at the texture, the leather in the background. Oh, emblematic logos. So we're going on to the next one. So an emblem is usually a seal or a crest. Emblems are primarily going to be circular in shape, and they're used if you want to create a feeling of tradition for your company or something that people can really trust. If you use an emblematic logo, that's the feeling that the customers generally get with these designs. So here are some examples of emblem logos. You'll notice that they're all circular in some aspect. So Goat Island Oyster Company, obviously a goat on an island, and these are supposed to be little oysters. The Copper Source Artisan Crafted logo, so you got a C and an S. This one's very elegant. This one here is also a nice, elegant, looks really old, but if you look, this was established in 2013, so it's not really that old, but it looks old. Notice the mustache here and here. So this is shaving soap. It's what they're selling. It gives it a kind of a classic look to something that really isn't that old. This one is a fun one. So the smoking jalapeno. I'm going to guess that this is a logo for a restaurant, and I'm going to guess it's a Mexican restaurant based on the Day of the Dead skull here. Notice he's got a jalapeno in his mouth. He's got a knife and the fork there. It looks like he's ready to sit down and eat. So this one is a really fun logo. And notice they've got a little contrast there with that yellowish orange. Everything else is very muted colors, and then they bring that in there. So you have lots of elements and principles represented in this logo. Here's another one, looks just like that other shaving soap one. So this one, notice this is for men as well. I'm sure that's what this shaving soap was, since there were mustaches on there. But they're very similar. So for when they're trying to sell something to men, they're trying to go with a logo that looks like this, with this coloring and that old age feel, to make it look manly and like it's an old company that's been around for a long time, it's well established. But again, this one's not that old. There's another one. Now this one isn't perfectly circular, but you get the illusion of it being circular based on how they made the letters kind of rounded up there. And this is for gluten-free granola. Old Gus, made in 2014. It's so old. Cranky Rooster. This one's another fun looking one. It's hot sauces. So only two real colors were this one. Well, I guess three if you count the white, but very subdued, but still fun. Here's another one that looks like the shaving cream ones, Artisan Ales, Brisbane. So this is from Australia, I'm guessing. There's the kookaburra bird right there. And this old looking guy. And this one seems to be old. It's from 1855. All right, next one. So along with pictorial logos, we have mascots for logos. So a mascot is both the logo and a character. So it helps bring a fun personality to a company's image. And when you see these mascots, you know, okay, that's what this company is. So this is called Fabrizi. Never really heard of the company, but it's got that cute little flying elephant for its mascot. You guys know the Colonel, KFC. Easily recognize him. This one is a wheat. It's Eat Me. I'm not really sure what this is for, but this is basically a cartoon wheat stalk. Jogos.com. Don't know that, but we've got a little jaguar there. It's all pumped up apparently. Raging squid. Looks pretty cool. Intimidating looking squid there, blue squid. These logos you might be familiar with. So we have the Staley Falcons, Winnetonka Griffins, the Oak Park Northmen, and the NKC Hornets. So those are all pretty cool looking mascots that you guys will have one day when you go to high school. Another thing that you could do for logos is just using fonts or letter marks. So that's all you're going to do for your logo, you really have to do the job well, because you don't want it just to be something sloppy and it's hard to read. So whenever a company uses word marks or letter marks for their logos, they're going to make sure that there's something there easily identifiable. Sorry guys, it's a Monday morning. Easy to read from far away. They can be fun and creative and quirky, or they can be very elegant. So I'll let you look at some of these and see what you think. This one is Roots Juice. So this one might be More difficult if you don't know cursive, but you can read roots, and then you've got the roots coming off of the R and then the leaf coming off the T. And then if they wanted to just simplify their logo, they've got that one there with the roots coming out. Bashford design, very elegant. The B and a D inside the circle, so it could be combined with the emblematic logo. Notice that Bashford here is all in capital letters, but design is in lowercase. And they've got it nicely aligned and symmetrical. Frost output, this one is really cute, I think. Very simple design, but they turned the O into this little penguin looking guy, put a nice little shadow effect underneath there. So this would be easy to create. This is 13, got some texture here in the background, and then some shiny gold accent looking aspect to it. United, this one's really cool because you've got what looks like a circle, but you have the U, the N, the T, and the D. United. Blink, I love this one because of the negative space. Gives you the illusion of that in there with having these white triangles. So that's a cool little thing that they did to make this logo. And they used green. Color is very important. I haven't really talked about color yet, but you have to think about what colors you're going to use in your logos because there's a whole psychology to colors. And when you have this green color, especially for a restaurant, people are going to think of like fresh food, natural food, maybe organic food because of that nice green lettuce association that we get. Notice that they also had the I is a fork. Don't know if you saw that. I'm sure you did. But color is very important, so make sure you're thinking about the message that you get just with the colors that you use. Here's one that's pretty cool, Art Disco. So they used two different shades of blue within it with a white background. And even though this kind of looks like that white space that we saw earlier, so they interrupted the box by putting the D in there, but it's still perfectly aligned. Parabola. If you don't know what a parabola is, it's a geometric shape, kind of like a little curve that you get in a graph. And so they use nothing but geometric shapes, circles, triangles, and rectangles to make this. Looks really cool. Moxie Honey, so it's in cursive, but you have the queen bee there at the top dotting the I. Looks pretty cool. And then over here they made another logo, an emblematic logo there. Flourish, so it's French for flower is what fleur is. So they have the flower there to dot the I that comes off the top of the F. And flourish is to write something with elegance or a lot of exaggeration. So they did some double meaning on that one. Ella, love for ice cream. I don't know if you see that they made the L's into a heart. Hobo Public House, this one's pretty cool. I like this because a hobo is a homeless person, right? And this symbol here is what homeless people actually use to communicate with each other to tell if a place is safe for them to go. So Hobo Public House uses that as I guess, a dual meaning as a safe place for people to go to. Haywire Coffee Roasters. I really love this one because of the negative space that they used. So you have this H for the haywire, and then it looks like hay. And then you've got this coffee cup there in the negative space with the little steam coming off. And then you've got this texture in the background. Montagna Vasto. So you see both an M and a V in that one. Earphone Solutions, notice the headphones there. Alive, I think this one's really cool because they use these three colors And for contrast, they made the I, which is perfectly symmetrical right in the middle, that blue that they have with the brackets. And then notice that this A looks kind of like a cardiogram, like a heart monitor. All right, so logos are incredibly important. You might recognize these two logos here. Logos do change over time quite a bit because the company wants to make sure that they're keeping up with the trends of what's going on in society. So you notice that really the Kansas City Chiefs logo has not changed since 1972. Big difference from what it was before, although I can't really tell the difference between either of these two things there, little chief dude running around. But we know now that having an Indian portrayal, Native American, is not necessarily appropriate in today's society, so they did change that. And then you notice that the Royals have changed theirs a little bit over time, but really have kept that little crown look to it throughout their inception, and then changing the Royals section, just signature part, just a little bit from the script to the cursive and giving it a more flair look to it. So those are some examples of logos. Here's some other ones you might be familiar with. So not sure which team you support, so I threw all three of these up here. So we have the Missouri Tigers, K-State Wildcats, and the KU Jayhawks. So these are all mascots. You can see how they've changed over time. And notice the color schemes again, very purposeful, very minimum. Here are some other logos that you might be familiar with. How many of these do you recognize? So again, logos are something that you can easily identify the picture with the company. So some of these you might not know if we're not familiar with that brand, but I bet most of these you're able to easily identify. There's Kool-Aid right there, A&W Root Beer, Jelly Bellies, Mr. Clean, I bet you recognized him, Nintendo. Let's see, what else is there that you might recognize? Target, I mean, there's no words at all, but we know that that is Target, right? And look how simple that is. Subway, I think they've been trying to change their logo to keep getting more customers come in. If you have companies that are starting to lose money, see Toys R Us, there aren't any more Toys R Us anymore. But if they start to lose customers, they kind of start changing their logos because they want to get more people and make, if they have a cooler logo, then they might get more people to buy their products. There's Google up there. There's Apple. So think about the kind of logo that you want to make, something that is going to either redesign a logo for a company that already exists, or create one for a fictional company, or maybe just create one that represents you and who you are. So to summarize, company's logo is very important. It can be its symbol of success. Successful companies such as Microsoft, Nike, Reebok, and others, Adidas, they rely on a logo to put out an image of achievement to the general public. If you log on to almost any website, you open up a magazine, just turn on the TV, you're going to see logos all over the place trying to represent a person or a company. Here are some basic rules when you are thinking about making your logo. They're usually very simple in design. It has to be easy to understand at a distance. Usually they only use one or two colors with a white or black background. The writing needs to be presented in a way that's simple and easy to read. And a simple drawing or symbol is usually all that's used. Now, of course, there are exceptions to the rule, but that is the standard. So now it's your turn. I want you to make your own logo for either an imaginary company or an existing company, or just one for yourself, your own personal logo. I recommend drawing it out. You don't have to, but I do recommend drawing it out on paper first, then analyze it and see how you can convert it into a vector object in um, Adobe Illustrator, and then actually create it in Illustrator. So think about all the design elements and principles while you're working on this to make sure that you're making something that's going to be not only purposeful but aesthetically pleasing. And then good luck. Have fun with this, guys.